Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. This is the fourth of 5 training tapes dealing with defensive pass interference, and today we're looking at probably the most common category, which is not playing the ball. So we'll have a look at some examples of how to recognize it and when it's a foul, so that we can be consistent with this. But before we get to the game film, let's have a look to see what the rulebook and the MOFO have to say on this topic. In the rulebook, we go to Rule 738, defensive pass interference. C. Defensive pass interference is contact beyond the neutral zone by a Team B player whose intent to impede an eligible opponent is obvious and could prevent the opponent the opportunity of receiving a catchable forward pass. When in question, a legal forward pass is catchable. Defensive pass interference occurs only after a legal forward pass is thrown. It is not pass interference 1. When, after the snap, opposing players immediately charge and establish contact with opponents at a point that is within 1 yard beyond the neutral zone. 2. When 2 or more eligible players are making a simultaneous and bona fide attempt to reach, catch, or bat the pass. Eligible players of either team have equal rights to the ball. 3. When a Team B player legally contacts an opponent before the pass is thrown. And finally, 4. When there is contact by a Team B player that otherwise would be pass interference during a down in which a Team A potential kicker from scrimmage kick formation simulates a scrimmage kick by throwing the ball high and deep. In the MOFO, we go to section 3.3 contact fouls. 8. Defensive pass interference. A. Actions that constitute defensive pass interference include not playing the ball, which is also the topic for this training tape. Early contact by a defender who's not playing the ball that impedes or restricts the receiver's opportunity to make the catch. 2. Playing through an opponent. Playing through the receiver, contacting him in the back or on the side of him furthest from the ball, even if attempting to play the ball. 3. Grabbing an arm. Grabbing the receiver's arm in a manner that restricts his opportunity to catch a pass. 4. Arm bar. Extending an arm across the receiver's body to impede his ability to catch a pass, whether or not the defender is playing the ball. 5. Cutoff. Cutting off or riding a receiver out of the path to the ball by making contact with him without playing the ball before the defender looks for the ball. And finally, 6. Hook and turn. Hooking a receiver around the waist that causes his body to turn prior to or even slightly after the ball arriving, even if the defender is trying to get to the ball. B. Actions that do not constitute defensive pass interference include 1. Incidental contact by a defender's hands, arms, or body in the act of moving to the ball that does not materially affect the route of the receiver. If in doubt as to whether the route was materially affected, there is no interference. 2. Inadvertent tangling of feet when both or neither players are playing the ball. 3. Contact that occurs during a pass that is clearly uncatchable by the involved players. 4. Laying a hand on the receiver that does not turn or impede him until after the ball has arrived. 5. Contact on a Hail Mary pass unless it is clear and conspicuous pass interference. C. Further notes. 1. A stationary player in position to catch the ball who is displaced from his position has been fouled. 2. It is never pass interference if the defensive player touches the ball before contacting the opponent. 3. Interference must be conspicuous to be called. 4. Remember that the defense has as much right to the ball as the offense. 5. It is crucial to identify which players are playing the ball and which are not. 6. Normally, an offensive receiver will try to catch the ball with two hands. Often, a defender will try to bat or deflect the ball with only one hand. If the defender goes up with only one hand, know what the other one is doing. 7. When judging whether a pass is catchable, imagine how far the receiver could have run and how high or wide he could have jumped if he had not been impeded. And finally, 8. There is no foul when contact is simultaneous with the ball being touched, the bang-bang situation. When in doubt, contact is simultaneous with the ball being touched. And that was the theory. Now, let's have a look at some game film. In this first play, we're looking at the slot back closest to the camera here, and he's going to go downfield, as you'll see. And right now we've got a pretty good indicator. At least we've got the receiver waiting for the ball to arrive, and the defenders with their back to everything, so they don't know when the ball is going to arrive. So basically any contact here will have a high potential for PI. So the first guy going by, you can't really tell how much contact he makes, but the second guy coming in clearly makes contact. He's got his back to the ball, early contact. This should be called every single time, certainly when it's this obvious and this early compared to when the ball gets there. And it really doesn't matter that the receiver has to move back towards the ball. It is the responsibility of the defender to not make this contact, especially when they're not looking at the ball, when they're not looking back to see what the play is. So this is a good call, both from the back judge and the field judge. In this one, we're looking at the slot back here closest to the camera. He's going to go downfield and turn into deep wing key. And right there, we've got fairly good coverage from three different officials. Now, there are two contacts here, really. So let's take this one first. Right there, he even the cornerback tries to look back, but he's already making contact, putting the receiver slightly off balance. So that would be. This is the pass interference that we're looking at. That push right there at the end is after the ball is passed and almost after the ball is incomplete on the ground, and it's not enough for a personal foul. So that push is not what we're looking for. It's right there where he's making contact and then he's looking back. So this is the not playing the ball. We've got right now we've got three sets of officials looking at this, as we should. The back judge does a good job of coming over, and we've got three flags here. Now, if we look at the short wing here, he's got a flag also, and he is now, even though he's got a flag, he turns and starts with the ball relay, and we really want to get the penalty sorted out before we start looking at balls and ball relay. And even for these three guys to come together and talk, and while they're doing that, the umpire or the center judge can go get a new ball if we have time for that. So really try to complete the communication there and get that to the referee before we start looking at ball relay. On this play, we're looking at the back judge key, so the slot back away from the camera. At least he is initially the back judge key. As soon as the ball is in the air right now, both the back judge, the side judge, the deep wing over there, and the short wing, the linesman, will all be keying in on this action. And right there, you see the cornerback really doesn't look at the ball. He's got his focus on the receiver all the way. And again, it doesn't matter that the receiver is actually almost initiates the contact by going for the ball. As soon as the cornerback doesn't look for the ball and creates this contact, or the contact is made, we're going to put it on the defender as defensive pass interference. Now, let's say that the receiver stepped on the sideline before this contact happened. In that case, there would be no defensive pass interference because now the receiver is out of bounds, and you can't have pass interference against the receiver out of bounds. The other thing to note here is the deep wing. Typically, we want the deep wing to stop at the goal line when they're backpedaling. However, here it becomes fairly obvious that the interesting place to watch is at the sideline around the 4 or 5 yard line. So the goal line here is not important. So he does a good job of getting into position where he can rule on the play. Now that's in the end zone in this case, and that's fine as long as the goal line is not threatened. So good job by this deep wing. We end up with flags from the two deeps. We could also have had a flag from the short wing. Here's an example where the nearest receiver is going to be fouled. So again, we've got right away, we've got the receiver running down the field, and the cornerback is kind of beat. And you know what they say, once they beat, they cheat. And he certainly is not looking for the ball, and right there he creates the contact. The receiver is trying to get back to the ball, and the cornerback makes contact there fairly obviously before the ball arrives. And again, we've got 3 sets of eyes on this, as we should. And we've got a good call from at least some of the officials. So here again, we've got the indicators. The cornerback is not looking. The receiver comes back for the ball, and we've got early contact. And this is DPI not playing the ball. On this play, we're looking at the nearest receiver, and we're starting to see the same indicators. So we've got the receiver moving, and the cornerback is beat there, and his focus is on the receiver. We've got the receiver not as much here, but still reaching back towards the ball, and the cornerback creating contact before the ball gets there and impedes the receiver. So we're starting to see what we need to look for in these types of not playing the ball situations. And again, as soon as the ball is in the air, which is here, we've got the back judge coming over. We already have the short wing and the deep wing looking at this, so we've got 3 sets of eyes, which is good. Clear early contact and good call by the back judge and the deep wing. We could also have had a flag from the short wing. Another play where we're looking at the deep wing key here closest to the camera, and this one will also be called by the back judge. And it just looks like, well, first of all, the defender is not looking at the ball. It looks like he's trying to time his contact with the ball. He does not do a super good job of this. So again, we've got the same indicators. He's not looking at the ball. He's making contact without looking back and before the ball arrives. So again, good job by these 3 officials to cover this and to call it. On this play, we're looking at the tight end here closest to the camera. He's going to go down and obviously be fouled. So let's just have a look right there. And the defender thinks he does a good job of batting the ball away, which he does. However, he does, we've got the same situation here again. The receiver down the field looking back, and the cornerback not looking back. So any contact, and right there, I think it's obvious that the cornerback is pushing the receiver. You see his upper body getting pushed away, and then even though the cornerback turns around after making the contact and bats the ball away, by then the harm has already been done. We've got a good call by the back judge. He does a good job of coming over and recognizing this. We could also have had a flag from the deep wing and even the short wing, since at this point the ball is going there. All 3 officials should be looking this way and should have a fairly good opportunity to see the receiver's elbow body being pushed away like this. So 3 flags would have been better in this situation. On this play, we're looking at the receiver here closest to the screen, and this is going to be interesting for a different reason, because his own cornerback is actually looking back for the ball. But if we're looking at the safety number B7 coming in, he doesn't look at the ball at all anymore, and he creates early contact. Now, sometimes we say if there is potential DPI here and then the ball is intercepted well before the ball gets there, then there is no pass interference. However, here I think it's fairly obvious that if this contact by number 7 on the intended receiver A33 had not happened, then 33 would certainly have had a chance at making a play for the ball, and that chance is taken away from him here. So I think this is a good example of a situation where we should have, and I think we do have, a flag down for DPI not playing the ball by B7, even though the ball is subsequently intercepted by B23. So let's compare this play to the last play where we have a not quite identical, but at least similar situation. On this play, as you'll see, the ball is going to be thrown to the far sideline or to the far side, and stuff is going to happen over there. But let's have a look at the slot back here closest to the camera, because he's going to get popped right there, and as the contact happens, the ball's in the air. This is an eligible receiver, so technically this would be pass interference. However, since the ball is thrown, clearly away from him across the field, the quarterback never even looks at him. This is one where we can not call pass interference by philosophy. Compared to the previous one where the contact happens right as the ball, or right before the ball arrives to that receiver, here we've got contact on a different receiver far away from where the ball ends up. So I think we can let this one go. Also, I don't think this is enough for an unnecessary roughness. I also don't think this is enough for a blindside block. So really, we just have a big nothing here, and a very good play by the cornerback over by the ball. He times up his contact perfectly so that he does not get there before the ball, and he makes a good wrap-up tackle and creates the incomplete. So we've got no flags or no fouls on this play. And that was the training tape on the not playing the ball. I hope you found something you can use on the field.